In a world overflowing with distractions, we seek meaning. How do we transform ambition into something deeper, into true fulfillment? I'm Sam Pepin, CEO of Course Educa, and I've spent years helping businesses succeed by connecting their goals to something bigger. On the Meaningful Podcast, we explore not just how to win in business, but how to grow as individuals. Through conversation with thought leaders, innovators, and everyday heroes, we uncover the stories that drive us towards something greater. Whether you're striving for success, seeking purpose, or just looking for the next steps in your journey, this podcast is your guide to navigating the intersection of ambition, growth, and meaning. So please join me and our incredible guests as we redefine what's possible in both business and life. Enjoy. Hey there. This is the first episode ever on the Meaningful Podcast that was filmed in person. I was joined by such a lovely guest in a 19th century chateau castle for our English audience. And I would really appreciate if you listen to this podcast as you will be reading an essay. A lot of questions are answered indirectly, and that was meant to be, not only because it was unscripted, but also because that was very much an honor to the depth of the content. Please let us know about how you like this episode, as the structure is slightly different, and again, the setting was also very different, being done live, in person, and done in a way that was as heartfelt as possible. Thank you so much. Enjoy. In the heart of every transformative journey lies the courage to explore beyond the familiar, embracing the unknown as a canvas for growth. Welcome to the Meaningful Podcasts. I'm your host, Sam Pepin, and today we're diving into 3 transformative themes: breaking free from illusions, living with purposeful authenticity, and the intersection of art, philosophy, and identity. Our guest today is Runhild Roeder, an artist, philosopher, and advocate for justice and self-awareness. Runhild's unique perspective on blending art and philosophy challenges us to question societal narratives, embrace authenticity, and pursue a life of meaningful contributions. Her story empowers us to view the world through a lens of interconnectedness, where creativity and self-awareness illuminate the path to fulfillment. If you enjoyed this discussion, please let the world know with a like, a small review, or even a quick share. Your support helps more people find meaningful content just like this. Let's begin.
And so I was wondering, when you're thinking about the art world, why is it that sometimes there's incredible artists during their lifetimes, nobody seems to really connect with them, or they're not basically prize-worthy, but then they die, and suddenly everybody seems to understand their geniuses. Where do you think that comes from?
I think it's because it's not very well understood. The foundational questions, since I'm also a philosopher and philosopher of art especially. And I'm a phenomenologist, so like Gadamer, I know about the sociological questions and anthropological. Mm-hmm. The whole thing is that no one really decided properly after the Vedas were the Vedic civilization and then the Greek civilization. They never really decided how we must live. So there's this is the most fundamental question which I address in 4 books, okay, on being and so on. First of all, we do not know what is reality. We do not know what is ultimate reality. We do not know how we must ideally live day to day, the existential question. So these are the 3, and they're what is death? What is the problem of evil? What is goodness? And what is beauty? Is it what the Greeks thought were beauty? Or is it what Romans or Indians? Who has the last word? Okay. So does the artist help us out here? Okay. Does the philosopher help? Contemporary philosopher. We don't stop. Philosophy did not stop with the Greeks.
Sure.
Okay. So I am a philosopher. I'm not only an academic philosopher. I am an actual philosopher. Mm-hmm. And my father used to say, don't take philosophy because you already are a philosopher. oh, that takes me back to, since I was born in a family, that Peshawariya family, which we own property in Afghanistan, Pakistan, and India, which now there was all one region.
Mm-hmm.
At 4, I had a feeling that I'm very big stuff, in my, somehow very confident. And when I was given a red tricycle, my first little vehicle to play with, drive around the bungalow, I had an experience of no response from my grandfather, proper response that a grandfather should give to the child.
Mm-hmm.
That took me out, and I realized, oh, so the world will be like that. They will not resonate with me. But that's okay. I will keep driving. But I will also take the time to tell them how they must behave with the child. How grandfather should say, yes, join in the enthusiasm of the child on a tricycle. That's what went through. Oh, I'm actually that. I'm here for that, to tell them all how to behave. Because we had an extended family, so my uncle had one wing, daddy had one other wing, and the grandparents had the central wing. So I knew how they all are, kind of, so I had a sense, and I thought I would tell them all how to behave.
Mm-hmm.
So this was my idea, and that is my dream, was already there, that I'm here to set it all right. I will tell them how to live, so that the child's enthusiasm is not crushed. Because Papa and Mama were really, really enthusiastic about anything I did. I was their first child, and I was the princess. I was crowned also in the Sharia tradition.
Okay.
At 6. So, not a crown, but braids and a gold and diamonds here on my head and stuff. And all the gold.
Sure.
And I was given dolls, one female, one male, to play with. So that was the beginning, and this is who I am, really. I think it was all formed around there, between 4 and 6, my personality. And it's consistently dominating me. It's my subconscious. It was already there, that I'm going to show them how to live. I will create beauty. I will never be afraid of saying what I want to say. I have the power. Because Rolls Royce was there, I was facing in the garden. Yeah. And also the spiritual kind of awareness, a very astute awareness that, oh, I'm standing over my beautiful garden, and the sky. So, nobody knows, but I know that I'm that, and I'm this, the garden and the sky, and me. This is who I am. So I'm going to tell them how to, all about that when I grow up. So that's really where I excelled in my research. I told every university, I went to 4 Ivy League universities. I told them, I'm not here for the paper. I'm sorry. I will question you, and I will not go with lies. Because the reason we have violence is because you have all let go of theses that were not really questioning the issues. I became aware of which issues are not being addressed deliberately. I was told, if you address those issues, you will not get your degree. I said, I'm not interested in the degree. I'm interested in true, authentic research of truth, beauty, and goodness. I'm going to see what it is. Who says that? What is true? What is rationality? What is this that you call rational? So who's rational, and who gets the last word on rationality?
Who gets to decide?
Yeah, exactly. And these are actually asked by Rawls, who's one of the greatest philosophers. He says, well, whose rationality? So, and Habermas says, well, it's the procedure that decides it. So I really think that all the way through in the 25 years of my academic research, I really was a pest in the universities, and also really loved. I was a star, I was considered a star, and I questioned something they didn't like. And then some students became jealous. Then they said, okay, we have to give you only this much. I said, no, I don't need anything. Keep your papers. I know I will get my doctorate. You will beg me to give me my doctorate. I will not beg you. And so that's what happened. Sherbrooke and Laval fought over the fact that they wanted me as their PhD student. So Laval went out because Thomas D. Connect was one of the very good supervisors in modern thinkers, in Quebec City.
What's his name?
Thomas D. Connect.
Okay.
I just phoned him up and I said, listen, I'm going to question. Are you ready to deal with my question? These are my questions, 2-3 questions. And I'll be a pest. He said, how soon can you get here? And I said, well, after the Romeo and Juliet opera this Sunday, then I'll come. He said, I'll come and pick you up at the bus stop. So I said, okay. So right there, I knew I can deal. And when I went there, he said, let's get her to sign this because I want this student. And he said, I will not say anything to you because I think you already know what you're going to do with your magnum opus.
Mm.
And it was very true. I said, okay, well, then I will accept the admission.
Oh, I will circle back on the truth and this understanding of rationality, but
yes.
A debate that is very common, especially in Western culture,
right,
is the understanding of beauty.
Right.
Is beauty subjective? Is beauty objective?
Right.
What's your definition of beauty, and how do you see that in impacting your perception of what art is?
Okay, I think that art and quantum mechanics, there's a relation here.
Okay.
And I'm very aware of science. My first passions were mathematics and science. I was a whiz in both. I was not allowed to pursue because at metric, Sister Declan found me too fast and just too far ahead in the class. So I was asked to go and prepare at home. Otherwise, I would have completely knocked out the records and gone straight to Oxford. Like there are many whizzes, 13-year-olds, they can play chess and they become famous. I was just like that. I had a very curious mind and I already knew what I wanted to do. And I always was very happy alone and just studying. So I was in what they call nerd now.
Yes.
Okay. So I didn't know if a nerd or not. My mother said, go play. I said, no, I'm going to do my homework first. So it was like that. So my answer to you is, it's not decided what is beautiful, what is good, it's not. They pretend that it's decided. It's whoever has the power and says, this is beautiful, let's go, baby.
Right.
Okay? And same thing with goodness and truth. It's all loose, because nobody knows how to live. There are no real definite morals or principles. And that's where the Vedic civilization I really liked, because I had my first grounding in no fanaticism. My parents were not religious at all.
Sure.
My father was a champion of tennis, and mommy was a Ramayana scholar, so she had internalized these principles of which makes a good ethical life. And so she brought me up with ethical principles. That's all. Very loosely. Just when contextually she would say, okay, this would be a good thing. Very gently. Not you must do this. There was never from my parents, you must do that. Which is why I am a philosopher and I remained one. There's always a question. So I could always debate with Papa or Mama very easily, and they loved it. And that was why I was their favorite child.
Sure.
And friend. So they were more my friends. So I was never afraid of authority, therefore. I questioned all these professors, principals. And MP, for example, when I was in social work, MP asked me who to fire and who to hire, because I was known for my integrity and my excellent social work consultations, my decisions and judgment in the law courts, where I protected the unmarried mothers and so on. So the social work grounding gave me a little bit of awareness of the down-to-earth reality, which I did not have access to at home because I was totally protected, sheltered, a privileged child growing up in tennis and music lessons and tennis lessons and, all the privileges of private clubs, which are really beautiful in India. You don't find them here, actually. MA, I better not say, it's good club. So, but there, it's lawn courts, are you going to play lawn tennis or clay tennis, on the clay? So such options. And table tennis, I grew up playing 4 or 5 sports in the evening, just like Papa and Mama. So when I came to Canada and Vancouver, I was going to go back after 2 days because I was very disappointed. I thought, what is that? That's Canada? Oh, no, I'm good. But then I'm still here.
Yeah.
Because you all had things to say to me and I had something to say to you. And this is how I stayed. Because I kept on being on the path of contributing. The day I felt I can't contribute, I was going to go back. So that's it.
You're right.
So I knew I'm here to contribute. And I'm here to help these people transform their consciousness, which I was aware of at 4. So I have a very acute self-consciousness and consciousness of environment. I pick up immediately, oh, this person is not going to be inclined to go with this argument.
One thing that is quite phenomenal, and that we can study through, one thing that is quite phenomenal about you and kind of the life that you lived is your confidence, this understanding that you have of being there for a reason, being there to contribute. One of the many things that was said by Antwerpans was actually one of the quotes of yours, which is, if Picasso can make it, why can I? There's always this very novel feeling of you not only believing in yourself, but what you can do and how it contributes in the world. Where does that comes from? That's unbreakable confidence, that's the understanding of you as a person to transcend the world. Tell me more about how that's unfolded in your life.
Well, when Mama said, I'm very much like.
Okay.
And my family says I very much offspring of my great-grandfather who owned many buildings and had my eyes green, blue, green, and the blonde hair kind of. If he was in Kabul, Afghanistan, so I don't know whether he was a prince or what, but anyway, he owned many buildings which he gave to every country, okay? And so it's this generosity, and as Mama, Papa always said, have a large heart, be generous, let it go, let them have it. You'll always get everything you want, and just let them have your sisters, let them follow you. You go ahead because you're very fast, just go ahead. So he said, the problem you will have later on in life is you're too quick to grasp everything, just like it is. And people are very slow.
Mm-hmm.
So I like the EMC square. I like Einstein. I think I really relate to the way he was. I've read all about him. And so quantum mechanics, I think, so I'll come to that question, which will answer all these questions. Sure, about art also. I've been very fortunate that I fell into excellent mentors all the way, and spiritual masters and teachers. It was very open. And they immediately thought I was there like them. So I was trying to be a student, but always like that. So the same way, in 1969, Fritz Perls' student, Jim Simpkins, arrived in Vancouver, and I was in social work. And I saw this paper on the billboard and post, and said, if you want to be more sensitive to other people's pain or whatever, then this is a sensitivity training by Fritz Perls' group, the Gestalt therapy. It's only for psychiatrists. So I phoned up and I thought, I want to be more sensitive to the pain of my clients because I need to feel not just use my head, cerebral stuff. So I want to be more sensitive. So I went. And they said, okay, we'll let you in, but you're the only lady and the youngest, and these are 40-year-old psychiatrists, 14 of them. And I said, oh, I don't mind. So I went through that Gestalt, and which immediately he put me in touch with my body-mind connection.
Mm-hmm.
And my soul, I was always very strong. I don't need to worry about it. It's like I have the soul of my family that's really connected to God, automatically, and wants the best for everybody. So I don't have to worry about that. So it's this body-mind connection came from Gestalt that I immediately felt and also thought the same thing. So my thought and my feeling were connected, and that's Gestalt. And that's always here and now. So it's not, the last minute is past for me. This minute is present. I'm going to deal with that. That's relevant. And the minute coming later is future. So that's how I deal. I don't go on past. And if the past event that comes to my mind, well, then that's present at the moment, and it's relevant. And
Sure.
it has something to teach me in this moment. And that's how my brain works. I have to thank God for such a brain, because it saves me time to understand things. And fortunately, I met Hans Georg Gardner, who's one of the top philosophers of the century, who told me, here's the key, you better come to my house anytime you want when you pass Heidelberg. So I made few visits because I was lecturing in Miskolc University in Hungary, and also PhD students in Budapest University. And on my way to Leuven, where I was doing my research and doctorate in philosophy, I was dropped by at Heidelberg to see Gadamer. And we had wonderful talks in his study. And I think he's one of the greatest phenomenologists and the wisest philosophers, I think, because he's not one-sided, just like Papa was never one-sided. Very open-minded, but also not everything goes.
Sure.
We know what is not to go here. Okay.
We have boundaries, but we're open-minded to each other.
In other words, when you have a strong foundation, like I have from my family,
Yes.
so what are your principles? Which you will never wrong someone. My mother said, never hurt anyone, so that's all. And never discuss religion and God with anyone, because everyone has different views. So don't offend anyone on that. And you know what God is. God is one.
Yes.
And God is love and compassion. So this was it. And Papa said, you have much more than the others, so therefore be generous to them. And they will take time, so be patient.
Right.
So this is...
No, it's very interesting. And obviously you were with some pretty incredible names. Obviously, there's with Virgil, obviously. And tell me more about when you were featured on these lists with people, Bogart, obviously Guzman's, all these very, very big names, and your name was with them. How was that something that you were expecting at that specific time? Tell me more about the feeling of receiving that news, to be with those temple names.
You're very astute in questioning. Wow, it's a very important question. Yes. Like everything else, like Gardner says, it just happens, right? So the truth just happens. You don't make it happen. It just happens. It surprises you.
Sure.
That's what happens constantly in my painting, in my act of painting, and also if I'm looking for truth in philosophy, and in my daily life as to what is the best thing to do right, okay, and how to treat the experts, whether it's a sweeper or a president. Do I make a difference? In my soul, I don't make a difference, because they're both humans, and I owe respect to both as a human one to another.
100%.
But I will not. I will be also careful with the protocol, but not too careful. So if someone gets offended, well, that's their fault, problem, not mine.
Sure.
I appointed, in a sense, as many saints I met along the way, like Father Markan, who has 80 of my paintings. He said, you're chosen by God and you should know it. And it's being told by light workers on the actually Instagram constant. You're chosen, so don't play small, please. You're pretending. Don't play dumb. And I thought, oh God, I am doing that because I don't want to offend this friend. His sensibility. He's way over there. What do I do now? He hates me for this. But they've been pointing out for the last year. You have work to do. Don't, if you keep on adjusting to this gentleman, then your work will suffer. You've come here to complete your purpose. Oh my God, that's like my father used to say. When you know your purpose, no one will stop you. You'll be unstoppable. And I know my purpose. It's to bring this whole world to the new earth. Out of the 3D to 5D, at least. If not to galactic. So, and I'm from there, but I'm trying to get everybody up there. through my art and philosophy and my everyday conduct. To be exemplary. And if someone hits me, I'm not going to hit back. I will take time to see if that person can learn that's violent. It's unacceptable. So how do we now treat this person? Because it's abnormal. So all of these questions I have to constantly ask myself.
Yes.
So I'm always on the alert. But I get good 8 hours sleep, right?
It reminds me of Picasso. Picasso said the meaning of life is to find your gift. The purpose of life is to give it away. And I see that in your story a lot. And one thing that was also very interesting as part of your art is you were always standing for those that needed your help. Obviously, on there in Woman, you're talking about the fact that you helped them significantly. There's this article by Miguel Tribune talking about how you link oppressed women and blacks. Tell me why it was important to include, I don't know if politics is the right word, but social justice as part of basically what you were doing in art. What was that so meaningful?
That's a very important question. I think if there was anything I stand for, it is for justice.
Right.
And Papa said if you were a lawyer, nobody could defeat you because you have that natural.
Sure.
So this is who I am actually. When someone is being unjustly treated, I burn and I try to find how I can get the whole world to understand that one person is right and the whole world is wrong. That can happen actually. We've seen that with the Messiah.
Yes.
We've seen that with Gandhi. We've seen that with Jesus. We've seen that with Buddha. And we've seen that with King.
Yes.
So I was terrified actually at some point when I had an experience of the Holy Spirit. I was not a Christian.
Mm-hmm.
I basically had no religion. Papa said, go play tennis, leave God alone. He'll get bored with you. Just go there. You're already a philosopher. Don't touch philosophy.
Right.
Go there. Okay. So this is, and Mama said, don't discuss God with anyone. So but suddenly it happened that when I walked into Saint Xavier in Quebec City,
mm-hmm.
I had an epiphany, which I will never deny. And I will stand witness to the fact that I'm believing, as Gadamer did, in lived truth.
Yes.
Like Aristotle did, okay? I'm an idealist, but I go by lived truth. It's through experience you know something and no one can defeat you there. Because it's body-mind got in there and you understand it more fully. If only a little bit neuron fires here, you don't get it, okay? And if you just feel something, well, sorry, that's not enough. So it has to be really lived experience on a daily basis for a while, consistently, and the soul saying, yes, it's true. Okay, the soul coming in, yes, you can fight for that. That's true. This is really how it works. So, justice is really, for me, very important. So I also read Khalil Gibran, who says, if one person suffers, the whole society is responsible.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I actually see that, that if, for example, in unmarried mothers, I changed the whole Surrey, BC right there. I went to all these Victoria Order nurses, lawyers, doctors, psychiatrists. So if you do not respect my unmarried mother there, I'll take you all to courts. I know how to fight for justice. So I changed the whole thing, and there was no stigma anymore for unmarried mothers. Otherwise, they were looked down upon by parents, by nurses, by schools, by counselors. And, the same thing when I went to McGill, I saw the same kind of justice question coming up.
Yes.
And totally ignored by professors, by staff. And I was, my God, how can you do this? Ignore the basic question of that we have to be comfortable when we are studying, not feel we might be harassed now. Sure. Professor. And then we have to bribe him, which does something very wrong that he's asking for. We have to lose our morals to get a grade. And this is not right.
Yeah.
And same thing. If, it's like Trump said, I'm very happy that we finally have a president who said, be colorblind.
Yeah.
I think that's what I grew up in a family that was colorblind.
It's interesting. Why do you think they were avoiding those very important social justice issues? Do you think you have some insights on why we typically see in educations and other very, very important basically industries and lines of work that they completely go over that and just brush it away in a very unsensible fashion?
Actually, well, I got into serious academic philosophy to see where did it all become so bad?
Right.
Which philosopher turned it around, and which one brought it down, and what happened? And that's why I studied Greeks very carefully.
Sure.
And also the Vedic. I also studied Advaita Vedanta to see the whole picture together. So, and Germans, Heidegger and so on. So Heidegger goes into being. So basically, who are we? Basically, there's being here. And being is new. And being is already in relation.
Yes.
So the interconnectedness is there. Like the air, can we divide air up? No. So being is like air. We cannot divide it up. So this is how we are all connected. What we are thinking right now, we're actually affecting the whole universe right now.
Absolutely.
Okay. So it's butterfly effect. And not even butterfly, it's just innate. We're all one.
Yes.
That's who we are. Okay. So from there, if we know that, then we can be just. And then we cannot be judgmental and rush with our judgments. If we make conclude on a certain act, just make a decision on what would be just, we are more careful because we know we are already one. Therefore, starting from that, somehow the whole brain is in a different space, fires different, neurons fire differently. If we think we are separate, it creates trauma. The moment we look at the other as the other, it's already lost it.
Yes, it's us versus them then.
Yeah, because the other is not other.
Yeah,
You are the other.
Yes.
That's what I say in one of those.
No, and I'm wondering, obviously, for you specifically, your personal experience, your lived experience, as you call them.
Sorry?
Obviously, your lived experience, as you call them. You obviously come to Canada, and you are obviously were an immigrant from India. You are also a woman in a field that was very, very, very male dominated. Tell me more about how you see art as a lane of work, as perhaps a philosophy. How basically on these social issues help us march forward this understanding that we are all one, and honestly, except loving each other and being generous with each other, not much else matters. But yet we always focus on what differences we have instead of the vast number of similarities that we have. Do you think that art can help us basically advance that dialogue?
Absolutely. Because life is already art and science both. Yeah. It's quantum mechanics is at work. In other words, what's happening now is now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for that, we have to have clear perception, not baggage in our head. If you have baggage, then that gets in and our decisions are wrong. So I think the child already by 6 has a personality. And Freud said that, and I agree.
Yes.
So by 6, I had already had who I am today. So it's innate. Or Papa said, actually, when I was born, Papa said, I think she's crying in English, screaming in English. I'll send her to Sacred Heart. And then I'll send her to Oxford. So it's decided. So he brought me up totally European. So, but then I decided to learn about India later because I said, come on, don't deny me my roots. I'll find out on my own. And that's so, but as I say here in one of the interviews, it's very natural for me not to see the other as the other somehow.
Yes.
Because I don't think we can determine by the body. We are actually spirit.
Yes.
And that's how we are one. If we were bodies, we could not be. It's impossible.
Sure.
Okay? Because we're really separate. My body is separate. So I have to respect that your body is separate. Okay? That's also very important. You're the other in that you have a certain kind of a body, and only you can tell what it feels like. I cannot. I'm not in.
Yeah. Flesh are separates, but soul are integrated.
Right. But spiritually, the real substance is one.
Yes, that's right. Souls are interconnected.
So it's one. So therefore, we have to look at we cannot therefore prefer one body over another, because the spirit is one, God is one. So we cannot say your body, because you're fat, is less than the lean body. Okay, the same goes for all these other connotations, race. What do you call it? Race. There's only one human race as far as I'm concerned. But anyway, you can divide them up if you like.
Sure.
And there's only two genders, male and female, as Trump says. I agree. But the Corinthians say there is neither male nor female, neither Jew nor Greek. So, yeah, Corinthians say that. And Vedas also say that you're spirit, not the body. So when you leave here, the body is left and we'll bury the body, but the real you is escape.
Yes.
Okay? So it's because the spirit is free.
Mm-hmm.
So you cannot, therefore, impress the human spirit because it's free. Therefore, every human is like a god, expresses freedom, has to have the power or the jurisprudence to make good decisions for herself or himself, and should have the right to express her causes and reasons for behavior at some point in there.
Yes.
So that table should be there. I love this. I love this kind of a table because it's a very good choice to come here. Because I like the blackboards. I like.
We're surrounded by paint.
Yeah, I write blackboard. When I'm teaching, I love to write. Okay, phenomenology, aesthetics, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And so I really like that. And then,
in one that is very important. There's this beautiful articles again by Miguel, 1992. Quand le message prend forme, when the message takes form, and you say something quite extraordinary, actually, in my opinion. And I will cite in French first. L'art est plus important que la religion ou les sciences, par exemple, car il ne peut pas être complet que par le génie. On peut apprendre les autres disciplines à l'école, mais le génie artistique, lui, ne peut pas être appris. Basically stating that art as a vehicle is, in your opinion, obviously at that specific time, 1992, once again, more important, or perhaps more with more substance than basically religion and science, because those can be learned, but art is something that is innate, that is something that is within you, perhaps. Why, or how did you come up with such a statement, and why do you think it is so important?
Okay, Kant says that artist is a genius, okay? And he says that the artist has the rule already, okay? Doesn't have to follow the list. Already has the rule. So then I can go to Gadamer, who would say artists is the Messiah now. The priests are, it's outdated. So this is outrageous, but this is what Gadamer says. But it is not so outrageous.
Sure.
Because art, I'll tell you why. Kant explains in the Critique of Reason how are all your faculties, why he chooses art to be outstandingly instructive. Because it is non-purposive, okay? And so it's also disinterested. Because it's not like a money thing, you're counting and when you are in the clay of consciousness, you paint, and something gets painted through you. As Professor McGilry said, it's in your fingers.
Yes.
So it just happens, and it's even a surprise for an artist. If an artist says, I know how I paint, well, they're a craftsman. Okay. They're second-class artists, I'm sorry.
Interesting.
I have no idea what I'm going to do the next month. Just like I don't.
It's just in you.
It just happens.
It just happens.
Truth just happens. Beauty just happens, and goodness, of course, is cultivated by the parents.
Yes. No, absolutely. One thing I want to dive deeper with you is just the sheer number of galleries that you've been a part of. You've been part of many, many, many galleries in plenty of places in the world, many in Europe, many in obviously in Canada, Ontario and Montreal, for example. Tell me more about, because like you said, for you, art is intuitive, it's visceral, it's in you. You just get released through whatever canvas you're painting on. So it's very, very natural for you. You have this gift of art. When you're thinking about not only what it means, but also our hearts can truly transcend culture, can transcend this place of location. Except, for example, like you have some it's art can be subjectively as beautiful and liked in India and in Canada and in Pakistan and in China all at the same time. Art is universal.
Absolutely,
right?
And that's why I love it.
Yeah, exactly.
Because Papa said you're universal, so don't go around with the Indian flag because you never were. That's not who you are. You're universal. So just go and tell them that.
Was your father a philosopher as well?
He was
like an
natural.
Yeah, he was
incredible. So mommy.
No, but every single time you decide it's so profound.
When he played tennis, and he used to say beauty because he loved the stroke. And he says, "This is what you're doing. Come on, don't fool me. You're playing tennis on the canvas." And I said, "Okay." Well, at least he said, "Yeah, now I'm convinced that you're great. Art is great by looking at your art." So, oh my God.
Right.
He observed it for a whole hour and he said, "Okay, you got it." That when I was having an exhibition in Delhi.
No, it's very interesting. And you had a lot of different, I think you call them series, right? We were discussing this prior to recording, but obviously the I Am series, you have a bunch of abstract series as well. What's, in your opinion, when you're thinking about your career and how it unfolds and the significance of all these series, which one do you think, if you had to pick one to categorize you as an artist and make it kind of like the cornerstone of that library, which one would it be and why?
Okay, so if I go with what Yannick said, it's Cobra, the Copenhagen Brussels group, where they were free in the 60s. They kind of had a sense of freedom. 60s, we all know, had freedom. The hippies came and so on, because there was a lot of money. It was affluence.
Sure.
So artists always are affected, by the environment, by the monetary issues, by sociological issues, by anthropological issues, by cultural issues, and by politics. Mm-hmm. So art can be quite political too, right? So you can you can solve a problem by showing a great work of art like Picasso did with Guernica, and I did my 2 murals, which McGill had bought, and they are in the dormitories.
Yes.
They're very large. And I was trying to solve a problem of philosophy of language on these murals. And I write, this language was already there. It was already there.
Sure.
We already have a certain language inside us. And that's what art is bringing out. And therefore it's universal. It's so in it. And then if I go with Kant, he says, all the faculties come together in art. When you look at art, you're not saying you don't know what it is, and that's what the beautiful part is. It's a surprise, and you try to figure out what it is. It's like when you fall in love with a work of art and say, "I want that," and then you take it home, and it does wonders for you. It heals you because there's something in you that you need that artwork, that particular artwork from, and also there's something in you that you need to talk to that artist and create a bond in order to get on with your life, which is what I found in Father Malcolm, who took 80 of my paintings. It was after me all the time, every month. "When is my painting coming, Runhild?" I said, "Well, sorry, I have posted tomorrow. I'm doing my thesis right now." So that sort of thing. And I loved it that his life came together after he started to collect my art. And his life came together because he was able to then feel more confident in talking about the nitty-gritties of money with me. How much is it? And can I give it in your bank account? Can I put it there? Otherwise a priest doesn't talk about that stuff. So
Sure.
with me, he knew that I don't talk about it because I come from aristocracy and I can take your money and run. I don't need it. And so I'm learning now not to say that again because people do run with it. And,
Sure.
I have to be careful. So I'm learning now. I'm getting better and better at that. And Father Markin said, I'm sorry, Runhild, to disturb you, but please give me your bank account. And so I'm going to put money there because I want to make sure that you have this money for your painting and you do finish your doctorate because you'll be the best teacher on earth. So I want you to finish your doctorate in philosophy. So I know you will use it for that. So I basically, what was the question? Did I lose you?
No, I was simply, if you had to take a retrospective of your career and its significance also, is there one series or one piece specifically that you would say represents the not only the art itself, but just would be kind of like the cornerstones of what it is to basically who is Runhild as an artist, perhaps?
Well, I see every moment as an artwork, and I see every human being as an artwork.
Sure.
And I see trees and flowers as artworks. So at 4, I knew that there's the artwork, and there's the artwork, the green grass and the sky and me and grandpa. So it's all one and it's all artwork. It's beautiful. And the one who created it, I didn't know what to say about that. It must be magnanimous. Whatever that is, whoever that is. So I had to find out who that is and what that is. So I spent many years trying to study all the religions, and I write. It's sacred, syntactically and semantically dense. So I would say art is dense, and Runhild's art is dense, and Runhild is mysterious, will continue to be mysterious, because for her, life is a mystery, and so is God, and so is every human being she meets. I never can prejudge that this person is going to be like this. It's that. I experience a person, and I say, oh, wow, it's a surprise. He gets along with me so well. Oh, okay, I'll see that person again. Oh, this person, I can feel it's uncomfortable. There's something going, I don't know, it's going to be toxic. I don't want to be near that person. And that's how I decide. I don't know what it is. It's energy.
And it is
Einstein would say.
Yes, it is.
E is mc squared. So maybe they've got too much of mass, or too little light, or too much of light, and too little, whatever that is. So I think there are degrees of, this is where the emotions come and so on, and have validity. And art that expresses certain emotions, like I do, as this one professor said, I forget his name at the moment, so I got it, he come to me, and he said, your portraits are amazing, and the hardest thing to do is portraits. And I thought, oh, really? Yeah. And Arnold Reiner said the same thing. He says, your portraits are so great. I don't know how to do them. I cross them out because I don't know what they are, and I'm selling them for $1 million. You just need a promoter, and you'll get $2 million for those portraits. So I don't know how I did that, but it's just, they were fictitious, and they just came to me. And one I called a philosopher titled, and the other one I called after the movie where Omar Sharif and Christine, what's that?
No, I don't know it.
Yeah, there's a movie I saw, and they had a child, Omar Sharif. So if they had a child, that's what the child would look like. That portrait is very popular too, because it's sort of nice. I like hair, and so nice hair here, but they're all conical kind of faces.
Sure.
I guess it has to do with my own chin. I don't know what it is. So, there's one who's sulking because she couldn't go to Oxford or something like this. A girl with brown hair, kind of. She's sulking, but the brothers are all green. Yeah, so I told Taylor, for example, who was one of my political theorists, Professor McGill, I said, if we all painted everybody green, people would find it easier to understand.
That's good. Yes, that's right. That's right. And truly, and that's one thing that I think people are getting more conscious about, which is beautiful, which is this understanding of, like you said, this epiphany of we're all the same, and therefore we should be all treating each other basically the exact same way, as our innate value is derived by God. We are made in the image of God. And one thing is that I see, and feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, or to just add your opinion to it. But in the West, there's an awakening. There's a spiritual awakening happening right now as we speak.
Exactly.
There's this understanding that, hey, we're looking basically at our past and understand that we've been doing the exact same methodology, which is us against them, for now over 6,000 years. Because it's been nothing but wars, nothing but sadness and people dying for pretty much no reasons.
Yeah.
And people now are getting, I think, much more in tune with love. Call it God, call it whatever you want, but with love and with the understanding that, hey, we're all somewhat cousins or brothers or sisters, or all from the same, basically, not only species, but closer than that. They're all from the same very, very large family. And I think it's beautiful what's happening. And I don't know if it's just because I'm an optimist and somebody that likes to just see the good side of things. But what's your take on that? Do you see that as well? Do you understand what I mean by that?
Yeah, I'm very excited. And for the first time, as at home as I was at age 4, I feel now I can ride my tricycle more easily. Yeah. Because people are waking up and to who they are. And I've been working very hard, and all the light workers say to me, relax, this is your day of celebration, because the work that you've done, which they haven't seen, when you were crying alone and working to late hours to get your message across to the world, to wake them up on a daily basis, when you had to battle, they didn't see that. So now you can relax because you got it out there. So just calm down and see the results. I wrote 4 books and I saw them. I saw how professors started to talk differently to me and to each other. And one of them even wrote me a letter. Professor Langlois wrote me a letter and said, Runhild, you must have gone through a hell of a lot of pain to give us this message at your defense. And he said, not only that, my God, not only just us. He said, all the secretaries, you transformed them. They're enjoying so much now, eating your sweets and looking at your artworks. And this is just tip of the iceberg. You have no idea how gratified I felt all the way through when I saw how I changed 50 lives every month in Surrey, BC. Then in England, in Kenilworth, how I changed the whole community school, which was, they were beating up the girl and then into a community center by going to visit the families, talk to the father, talk to the social worker, train the social workers, talk to the administrator. I was amazed. I found out that English are not racist at all. They just have a certain knows a sense, and what they like is a certain accent and a certain way of certain conduct. I was treated as a royal princess when I arrived. So where is the racism? So, and they were beating up an English girl, and the African girl had the privilege. So
interesting.
Yeah. So I thought, well, this is great. I woke up and thought, well, this is great. So now I know something else about what everybody calls racism. Papa was right. You are universal, so you just don't have to buy into anything unless you agree. So I don't agree with any of that. I think this has been my experience. Sir Michael Demmett, for example, who got served, but like Rabindranath Tagore was Michael Demmett and his wife, Anna, they marched in the rain in Oxford, in England, talking about racism, English racism. It's a very different kind of racism. They're about class. It's more about class.
Yes.
Everywhere it's about class.
You think so?
Yeah. I think class must be, because otherwise I would have not been able to do any of the work with freedom as I did.
Right. That was my next question, actually, is from all your travels and you living in so many different places, to you, and you just basically answer it now, for you, it's much more about class. People respect classy people, people that conduct themselves not only freely but also in the laws of God and the understanding that, again, self-respect and respect of others. So you, even in England, for example, which were, or I suppose you heard that they were racist, you find it was much more about the fact that some people were just disobeying.
This will tell you. I
Yes.
went to Cambridge hostel, where
Sure.
Boyd actually gave me so I was treated as a professor. I was given a room.
Yeah.
And this boy, this student said, I'll give you my room, but if you had a Canadian accent, I wouldn't have lent you. So they don't like Canadian accent or American accent.
Interesting. What is that?
Luckily, I had a British accent. I didn't know that. Yeah. So it's about accent, and also I don't know the way I am. I go to Europe, okay? I go to the Antwerp Academy, okay? And immediately, this is never who I am, where I'm from, or nothing. I've never asked. Actually, here I've asked sometimes in Montreal, and think, not anymore, but it used to be when I had the name Shashi.
Yes.
That's why I kind of stuck to Runhild. I thought, I don't want to spend 50 minutes on just describing my whole history.
Yes.
Because if I didn't have the Shashi name, and this actually McGill student said, I see you as Runhild because you are like that empress in Norway who was just like you. He felt the pain of the poor. So your name is Runhild. So I adopted the Runhild, and since then nobody asked me where you're from.
Right, because you're right. You're.
I'm pretty white, I'm inside out. So I'm.
But your birth name is actually
Vishalia.
That's right, and which tell us a little bit about that story. Obviously, that's how does that last thing comes, because, like you said, you were obviously raised by I don't know if royalty is the right word, but definitely this higher class, basically, type of.
Well, in India, at that time, because the Britain was.
Yes.
And not just British, but also the French were there, the South there.
Okay.
So the upper class, the aristocracy, the Nawabs and the royal families, they already had a British coming to them. Can we get your Kohinoor, which is the diamond? That's still their decision. They don't want to give back the Kohinoor. That's how they kind of seduced the Brahma, the Raja of Punjab, and got Kohinoor from her. So there was this, they married each other, etc. Let's get married to that girl, because then we can be with the Maharaja, So, yeah.
Interesting.
This will never be, that's why I tell this roommate who says he knows about history. I said, when I was 8, I told Sister Gabriel, I do not want to take a history exam. And she said, why? I said, because I think it's not true what is written there. And she said, I'm going to give you full marks. This is for these morons. So for me, I questioned the way the history is read and written.
Sure. And there's a lot of proof, actually.
And they don't want to. They get very touchy if you tell them this, come on. No, I know this is this because I read that. And say, okay, well, all the more when you just said it. If I read that, then I still would question it. If my innards said, no, it's not right.
Yes, and then there's actually a lot of discussion about that, because, like you said, who is controlling the narrative?
Yeah.
There's agenda behind it. There's a lot of power behind it, and therefore sometimes it makes sense, basically, for some people to have decided to tell a story in an angle that benefits whoever agenda is basically they're trying to seek. And in history, it's because I'm getting more and more knowledgeable into this understanding of how the worlds unfold and different civilization, coming all the way from the Babylonians all the way from to America, being kind of the last grandiose civilization that we're now currently in. But it's always very interesting to me that history. Well, first of all, there's huge chunk of times that is completely missing, and which is quite strange. Why is that? And would we understood something that we don't understand yet if we had that piece of the story? So it's very interesting. Do you think that there's, for you personally, you had this realization that history basically was it's not that he was wrong, but maybe he was telling a way that was basically helping a certain agenda or setting an angle that you thought were a little bit more dishonest.
I'm shocked that people have bought so easily.
Yeah, that's right.
Into the British propaganda. Go on. Every day we have this Harry doing this and that. It's all propaganda, and then nobody questions it. Questioned it at that time.
Sure.
It was very obvious. India was one of the greatest, most prosperous civilizations. There was a Silk Route between Greece and Rome and so on, of silk going back and forth, trade. It was actually the most prosperous the most prosperous
Interesting
country at one point. So after that, that's why the East India Company was formed by Britain, and through that they crept into India. And overnight, I read that, and that's why that part I believe. The British just at night went into the trenches and started shooting. And when Indians woke up, many were dead, and that's how they got in there with the weaponry.
All right.
Yeah. If they talked to Indians, they would not have won any argument because Indians are more. Sorry, they are pretty right.
Yes, well, that's true. And we see this all over the place. Every single high-end academic subject, Indians are dominating.
They were. I mean, come on, and look at their Vedas, and they burned their books. Satguru in the south says that all the library was burned by the Brits, by the French or.
Yeah.
So colonialists went, even Dutch went. They went there to just basically take whatever they could because they were suffering from lack of finances at that time. I don't know how they call it because I'm not into economics. Papa wanted me economist. I don't like that. So I don't want to get into this too much because the economists will come after him. But well, they can. So it's my thinking is that it's very clear that at that moment when Queen Victoria, England was suffering from lack of money. They had no money. They were depressed. They were suffering from depression on all levels. They were depressed, which the God had to work with the Patanjali to wake them up spiritually. But they also depressed with the money. Had no.
Right. Economically speaking.
India was flourishing like anything. They said, okay, let's go there. We will call ourselves colonialists, whatever we want to call them, fancy word.
Yeah.
And we'll take over the country and take the loot. And those people are so sophisticated. We can just get with our little small single talk and get them. And that's it. We'll say English is the best language, and then we'll get them that way. And we'll give preferences to these English speaking, and we'll divide them up and conquer.
So you think that British did a lot of story rewriting?
Sorry?
Do you think that British basically as a country did a lot of history rewriting? Is that what you meant by that?
I didn't quite catch.
Do you think that they did a lot of history rewritings to basically their intentions of basically their agenda of promoting English language and English cultures?
Look, it's very obvious to me, and you read it's where did it come? I've had English friends, and my papa had English friends, my uncle had English friends, and they openly said, it's amazing how India tolerated that nonsense, the Gandhi king. How the world just was so blind and never said a word. One person shoots in New York and becomes a terrorist, right?
Right.
And they shot hundreds of people and thousands when they first went into the trenches, and that is not read by anyone.
Right.
I read it. It's there somewhere. That's how I read it. I was only a kid.
Interesting. So, when was that? If you can give me a ballpark of when that happened, the shootings of the British against the Indian people.
The Second World War was in 1943. Right?
Yep.
So they were there at that time in India.
Oh, interesting.
Okay, and they looked at the whole society. They thought, let's weaken them up before leaving.
Yes.
And they said, you become Pakistan and you become India. And Gandhi said, no, we're all one, and what is this?
Nonsense, yeah.
So this is the divide and conquer.
Yes. So in World War II.
This is how they did it constantly.
Yes.
And English language is much better than your language. Well, it's well known. Now they're all studying. Okay, so now let's talk about the world today.
Sure.
They're all trying to learn Sanskrit. In Germany, Sanskrit is very close to German. So Germans knew that. So Kant, for example, took it from, some scholars won't like me to say that, but he takes it from two concepts from Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah.
He was brilliant. Why would he not read the translation of that wonderful book?
Sure.
Bhagavad Gita says it's an intellectual exploration of truth, of God, of reality. There's no greater book than that as far as I'm concerned. It says, be detached to all of this stuff and then see clearly. And be connected to the one and see clearly. And don't be attached to anything. Then you can see. If you have attachments and agendas, how can you see anything clearly? That's why I don't have any marriage, no children. The whole of humanity is my family. And I love children of other people, babies. They love me. Babies love me and I love them. Because for me, it's all one. And I decided I'm going to walk my talk. I will not have children. I will not marry because I don't want any attachments. I don't want anything to interfere with my judgment at any mind. I want to have a clear mind. And if somebody's there, they'll pull my leg and I will have to fight them. And I don't want my energy wasted. If I value something in my life, it's my energy and my time more than money. And that's why I just let go of money a lot. It's my energy. You can take the money and run, please give me that. And that's especially very Indo-Aryan.
Yes.
They also value energy and time.
No, they certainly did. That's amazing. I thank you so much, by the way, for taking the time to discuss with me. Do you have anything else you'd like to end us with this conversation? Any last words of wisdom?
Yeah. Okay. So it's still on.
Oh yeah, it's out. Yeah.
Okay. So it's very important. I had that in mind when we have from people who oppose. So that's okay. You can come and ask me. Okay. So here is I just read. It happens. Truth happens. Last night I was thinking, how do I prepare for this? I mean, do I prepare? Oh,
right.
So extempore is best. So, well, God sent me, or nature's universe sent me a wonderful recording of this person who said, 1%. He said, this is he, not me. Okay. He said 1% do not buy into all this that stops them from really seeing clearly things. They know it's consciousness. They go with the consciousness and they remain aware. They know it's about self-awareness. Intelligence cannot be there without self-awareness. And they know about their own intuitions. They trust their own intuitions because they know they're not attached to anything or any agenda. They don't have any axe to grind. They want to call spade a spade.
Sure.
Okay. So that's how you can make a good, know which is your friend, because otherwise you can be deceived if you don't know how to discern. So it's a question of discernment. How does it come? If you don't have any agendas, no attachments, and then you can decide what is true, what is false, what is right, what is wrong.
Thank you for spending your time with us today on the Meaningful Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a review or share it with someone who could benefit from it. And always remember, your story matters. Make it meaningful. We hope to see you next time.